Libby, Executive Director of Homes and Families. Before I comment on the regulations, I want to acknowledge the commitment of the Patrick Murray administration to the issue of homelessness. I am proud to have a governor who declared, "I'm not going to do anything that makes vulnerable people beg for their benefits." This notion of humiliating poor people has to be separated and quite frankly disposed of from how we make the program work and work well with integrity. And proud that we have a Lieutenant Governor who included his commitment to making sure that everyone in Massachusetts has a roof over their head in his inaugural address. At Homes for Families, we are dedicated to working in partnership with the Commonwealth in meeting these declarations and that of the Commission to assure the right resource to the right person at the right time. I want to emphasize our agreement of a vision for a system more reliant on prevention and housing and less reliant on shelter. We appreciate the investments in RAP and MRVP. However, I struggle to see how the current emergency assistance regulations are upholding the values and commitments of the administration. I struggle to see the relevance of the investments in housing and prevention as a justification for limiting shelter access to families at imminent risk of homelessness. And I struggle with each call that we receive from families who are forced to beg for benefits, are being humiliated by the implementation of the regulations, and who do not have a roof over their children's heads. Because for them, prevention is too late, housing is not accessible, and for them, reform means there is no safety net. In an attempt to understand the justifications for the restrictions, I have considered the EA reform approach with other crises. For example, if your car breaks down, maybe a tune-up would have prevented the breakdown, or maybe you're overdue for a new car, but are you calling for an oil change, or a car dealer when you're stuck on the side of the road? No, you're calling a tow truck. And imagine if their response is that they're reforming their system and are now only offering tune-ups or cash for a down payment. How would those reforms solve your emergency? Or our medical system. The medical field is certainly focusing on preventative care and cure, so does that mean that you should close the emergency room? Should they target their services to certain subcategories of emergencies because they have invested in better technologies? Of course not. If that logic makes no sense regarding cars and ERs and other emergencies that affect you, how is that acceptable for systems that affect low-income children? The car and ER visuals that resonate with me and should with you because, as we have heard today, that is where families are going as a result of these regulations. The simple addition to include families at imminent risk of homelessness will help avoid another tragedy. Nights are getting longer, the air is getting colder, and none of us want to face the repercussions, the heartache, or the devastation and despair of having a child die in the streets in the cold on our watch because they were not homeless enough to meet the shelter eligibility standards of the Patrick Murray administration. I understand the consequences. The regulations do not match your intentions, your compassion, your dedication to ending homelessness. But the reality is the regulations as written and in practice are not keeping families safe. The driving force of eligibility restrictions is not a desire to turn your back on families or a collective commitment to actualizing the housing first system. We're getting to solutions, so I'll move on. But let's be honest, the driving force is the over-reliance on motels, the horrible condition of motel rooms, and the political scrutiny of motel room use. Motels are the driving force, but the source of the problem is that we have inadequate services for families in motels, we have inadequate prevention systems, and an inadequate housing stock to alleviate the crisis. Eligibility restrictions do not address these issues. Eligibility restrictions will not help us overcome this crisis. Solutions will. Family homelessness is projected to continue to increase over the next couple of years. And since demand will continue to outpace capacity, we need to figure out an appropriate response. New York has added on 15 family shelters because they said the one thing you cannot do is have families come in and not have a place for them. I'm trying to hurry up with the solutions. I know I'm over my time. We need to work together to advocate for more solutions. The movie Ted received $10 million in tax credits from the state of Massachusetts, yet MRVP came up short. The state's willing to spend $10 million on a movie about a degenerate teddy bear, but not on addressing this crisis. Together we can change that. We need to increase community prevention programs and provide case management. We need to educate, incentivize, and support landlords, especially in local housing authorities, to allow families to stay doubled up. We need to enhance triage and housing search and general support for families in motels. We should consider regional assessment and triage centers based on the model we had under Katrina. We should consider bringing back rental assistance to be made available for families to exit shelter. I open by recognizing the commitment of the Patrick Murray administration, so I'll close by recognizing the legislators and advocates who are all willing to continue to work along with you tirelessly to solve this crisis.
Thank you.